Ever felt lost in the maze of recording options? What if I told you that a simple killer metal tone was only a few steps away?
How about no, Scott, okay?
Dive into this guide tailored for beginners, and let's unleash your potential together. Starting guitar at 14 opened doors to a new world of possibilities. As technology evolved, so did my journey in music. My teenage band's first recording setup was a Zoom Q3 handy video recorder, pulled as far away from the speaker as possible because it was clipping too hard, and importing that audio into Audacity to mix. Then we would record drums using Guitar Hero Metallica, and that same Zoom Q3 held as close to the speakers as we could get it. Obviously this didn't really get us anywhere. Fast forward to my 20s, overwhelmed by options, I struggled to find my sound. With minimal knowledge, I clung to a Metallica-inspired tone. Today, I wanted to share my insights and tips tailored for beginners like my younger self, offering both free and budget-friendly recording solutions. At 14, Audacity was my gateway into recording. Simple yet effective, it was perfect for beginners like me. Today it's still a viable option, having evolved to meet modern demands. Then I found Reaper, introduced by my best friend. It remains my go-to DAW. With a free trial and seamless transition to paid, it's extremely accessible. While paid options like Logic and PreSonus exist, Reaper competes admirably. Creativity and not technology is important when creating music. Remember, using professional DAW doesn't make you professional. It's about capturing a musical essence, not engineering perfection. As a guitarist recording demos and covers, I focus on expression, not production. I leave that to the professionals. To record your guitar, you'll need an interface connected to your computer. I began with the Behringer Guitar Link, which did the job but had its limitations. Now I rely on my Scarlett Solo, a budget-friendly option that has exceeded expectations. Despite the memes surrounding it, it's a solid starting point for many. Thankfully, there's a plethora of affordable options available today, from Universal Audio, SSL, and PreSonus. As I'm not running a professional studio, and I assume a lot of you are not either, affordability is key. Now that you have an interface and a DAW chosen, and all the software installed, we need to pick up some plugins. This whole guide from this point will be centered around Reaper since this is my DAW of choice, and with Reaper comes a lot of great free options for noise gates and EQs. For free amp plugins, the Hybrit by Lapoo and Ignite Emissary by STL Tones are top picks. Hybrit delivers classic 80s mid-focus tones, while Emissary offers modern high-gain sounds, both free and customizable. If you want some more options in tone, I recommend Audio Assault. They provide excellent amp sims tailored for metal guitarists, offering quality without breaking the bank. While I'd love to be able to use the amazing products from Neural DSP or even the paid options from STL Tones, I love the affordability of Audio Assault.
Yeah, that's him. Oh, what a cheapskate.
Now let's talk about IRs, or impulse responses, and the crucial role they play in shaping your guitar tone. Without them, our tone falls flat. Fortunately, there are free options available, including this one. I personally enjoy the signature pack from Audio Assault. For an IR loader, I rely on NAD-IR by STL Tones for its versatility and cost effectiveness. To refine my tone even further, I use a Tube Screamer clone for added punch and an EQ for subtle shaping. Now that you have everything downloaded, make sure all the plugins are in your FX folder for Reaper. For me, I had to go into my Windows C drive, then to the program files, then to the Reaper folder, where I found my FX folder, and I moved all of the DLL files and application files into this folder. You also have the option when you're downloading all of this to put it straight into that folder to begin with. So I set up a Reaper project with all of the amp plugins that I want to show off. I have one for the Hybrit, the Emissary, and a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier, and these two are from Audio Assault, and they're pretty cheap. So if I just look at my basic signal chain, so all my guitar tones, I start with a gate. So I like a pretty heavy gate on my channels. So I'll start with a gate, then I go into the Tube Screamer clone. I put the drive up a little bit because I've read online that it doesn't react like a real Tube Screamer. So you need to give it a little bit of drive just so it'll get that nice tightening of the low end that you want. So I have my drive there, volume all the way up. You can play around with the volume a little bit, and the tone all the way up. And then I have a second gate because I really like a nice tight guitar sound, especially with high gain. There's a lot of noise, so I like to have two gates to really clamp down on it. Then you have the Hybrit. The Hybrit's a really mid-focused amp like the JCM800 that it's based on. These settings are from what I was using on the Ride the Lightning guitar tone that I made. It's not really gain heavy, so I like to add a little more gain. I probably don't need this much. I could probably take it back a little bit. So I have the drive up, contour around 6, bass around 4. I could probably bring that down a little bit lower. Actually, I think it's pretty fine right there. The mids, it's a nice mid-focused amp, and you want your guitar tone to sit more in the mid frequencies because that helps a lot for when you're adding in bass and drums and vocals. The guitar is supposed to be a mid-range focus instrument, so you want your guitars to sit more in the mids. And that's why I think Ride the Lightning has a pretty good guitar tone, because it does sit more in the mid-range. This is all just me playing around with it. I just had to figure out a good mix between the input and the drive. And then we have NAD-IR. I'm just using a Celestion G1275 and a Mesa Boogie V30. I've been really liking the Celestion G1275 speakers, and then the Mesa Boogie had some nice low end, and it's just playing around with the balance between the two. I like to blend two speakers, but you don't have to do that. I just like the blending of two speakers. And then I like to add a little bit of room sound into some of my tones. You don't have to add it into all of them. They don't fit. It doesn't fit for all the tones, but I do like a little bit of room sound in some of mine. Then I have a high pass and a low pass on each side, just to cut out some of those nasty tones in the high and low end that you don't need. Like guitars, you don't want to sit too much in the low range, which is why I know a lot of people have a problem with the Master of Puppets or Ages for All guitar tones. They're iconic, but they're not technically right. But I think that's what makes them unique. And at the end of my signal chain, just another high pass and low pass just to cut out some of the nasty stuff. This one, it's scooped more in the mids, which is kind of a no-no, but I like the way it sounds just signaled out right here. So I'll show you guys this tone. It's got that nice like mid-focus thrashy tone, but also with that scooped V in the middle that gives it kind of like that Metallica flair that it has. I really like it, but it wouldn't be very good to use for like a professional recording, because as I've found out, when you're actually recording in a studio and trying to make a guitar sound, the guitars will sound very thin if you want a big sound, because a lot of the oomph comes from the bass. But I mean, that's really it. It's pretty easy. I guess I'll explain the EQ a little bit more. So I did a high pass at 80, a low pass to around 12,000. Just cut out, there's a lot of nasty frequencies up here. If you had real studio monitors, you could hear it. It's just nasty hiss, and we just don't need it. Yeah, and just bumped up a little bit of the high end, bumped up a little low end, scooped out the mids to get that really nice Metallica scoop tone. But I wanted to focus a little bit more on the mids and the low mids. So yeah, I just kept it pretty much the same for all the tones. Here's the emissary tone, same thing. Start with a gate, got the tube screamer, got the other gate, got the emissary. This is like a really nice high gain amp, so you don't need a lot of gain on this one if you don't like it. I know some people do prefer it. I cut out some bass, added some low mids, added the high mids, and the treble, and then the depth and the presence. And then I have Nat IR, same thing, G1275, Mesa Boogie V30. I really like the tone. Probably go with a little less room sound on this one, and then just the same EQ. So this is the emissary tone. So then I have the two paid plugins from Audio Assault. It's the AHM 5050. It's just based off of an EVH 5150. You can switch between the 6L6 tubes and the EL34 tubes, which I've heard probably doesn't do that much to the tone. But same thing, start with the gate. I got the tube screamer, probably back that off a little bit. Other gate, 50-50. I tried to make a more mid-focus tone in this one, because this will sit better in like a mix. So I have more treble and more mids on this one, a little bit more presence. Same setup, but I'll probably take some of the room sound out. And then just an EQ, same scooped mid-tone EQ. So then here's this one. So then I have the last tone that I made for the califier, based off a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier. It's got the two channels. I like to have it on the second one. I got the master. It's got a master at 5, presence at 7. The bass is really turned down because it's a pretty bassy amp. Mids up, treble up, gain up, and then the same Nat IR setup takes on the room out. I'll just add a high pass to it, and then just a simple EQ for this one. And this is what this tone sounds like. So then when I'm recording demos, I like to do 3 guitar tracks. You can usually do 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, just for layering the sound and getting a bigger and beefier sound. I like to do 3 because I know James did 3 on Ride the Lightning. And the more guitar tracks you try to layer, the harder it gets because you need to be tighter and tighter. And that's why James is able to get away with doing 4, 6, 8 at a time, because he's a very skilled rhythm player. I'm still trying to get my recording chops down, so I stick to 3 for now, and I really like the beefy tones that I can get with it. So this is what I would normally do. What I'll do, pen 185% to the right, 185% to the left, and then I'll take this one, and I will put it down 6 dB. I believe that's what they did on Ride the Lightning, and I got this sound. I really like that. It gives me a nice heavy sound without going too crazy. But like I said, this is all just for my home recordings, demos, and the guitar covers that I make. It's nothing professionally that I'm putting out there as like a band, or I'm not using these to put anything on Spotify as of yet. If I was doing that, I'd probably put more attention into the production and the guitar sound and all the other stuff. This is just to give you a base layer to just put down some demos and write some music or practice covers. So these 4 metal tones that I created just serve as a foundation for you. They're not the be-all, end-all, but they're a good starting place for most people, especially for beginners like myself a decade ago. And what's great about this is that there's a lot of room for improvement. This is just the first step for creating tones yourself, and I wanted to give everyone a solid foundation for that. You can take these tones and improve upon them. You could go get some of the other plugins that I mentioned and play around with those. With dedication and practice, your dream tone is within reach. And what's great is with the internet today and technology, there are so many different options to get to where you want to be.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
There's a lot of great videos on YouTube to show you how to refine your guitar sound a little bit more, EQ it a little bit better, and some mixing and production tips. But I hope this video serves as a very good foundation. So I made this video for hopefully all those people who had questions about how I record guitars here. I really love the free approach that I like to take to a lot of these videos. I just think it makes it affordable for everyone. And this video was just another way of me trying to show everyone how you can get a tone at home. I know a lot of people had questions for me in the comments, so hopefully this video answered a lot of those questions on how I get my tones. So if you like this video, I want you to check this one out right here. I created a guitar tone for Ride the Lightning. I think it's my best guitar tone recreation so far. Going back and looking at my other videos, there's a lot of changes I want to make to them, but I really like this one. So if you like this video, you might like that one. Thank you for all your continued support. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.